Time is one of the most valuable treasures, and once it passes, it never comes back. For every student, the biggest challenge is how to memorize subjects and chapters efficiently when there is very little time. Often we think, "I'll study tomorrow," or "it doesn't matter now." But as the exam approaches, stress increases and we realize that time is slipping away. A shortage of time causes the mind to feel overwhelmed, making it difficult to retain information. This is why it is essential to use time wisely and strategically. Proper planning and an effective study method are not optional, they are crucial. For instance, imagine you have only 2 hours to study 3 chapters. If you start reading without a plan, you may not even complete 1 chapter. However, if you divide the time into smaller, focused sessions and assign each session a specific topic, it becomes much easier to manage and retain the material. It is also important to understand how the brain works. Our minds cannot remember a large amount of information all at once. Attempting to cram everything at the last moment often leads to fatigue and forgetfulness. That is why time management is not just about studying more. It's about studying smart. By breaking your study time into manageable blocks, your memory can absorb information more effectively, and your concentration will improve. Another key factor is the study environment. A quiet place with good lighting, minimal distractions, and a comfortable seating arrangement can significantly improve focus. Even the best study plan fails if the environment is chaotic or if your phone and social media constantly interrupt your flow. Act 1 also emphasizes the need to prioritize. Not all chapters or topics carry the same weight. Understanding which sections are more important can help you focus your limited time on high-impact areas. Planning and prioritization are not only practical but also give you confidence, reducing the anxiety that often comes with time pressure. Finally, the act highlights that memorization is not just about reading repeatedly. Efficient studying involves strategic planning, dividing time into small sessions, focusing on key points and maintaining concentration. When done properly, even limited time can be enough to memorize a significant portion of your syllabus. Summary of Act 1. Lack of time is a common problem, but it can be solved with proper strategy. Memorization requires planning, focus, and efficient time management. Short study sessions focusing on key points and a distraction-free environment improve memory retention. One of the most effective strategies for studying efficiently, especially when time is limited, is breaking your study into short, focused sessions. This method is widely known as the Pomodoro technique. The basic idea is simple. Instead of studying for hours on end, which often leads to fatigue and poor retention, you study for 25 to 30 minutes at a time and then take a short 5 to 10-minute break. This approach works because the human brain is naturally better at focusing for shorter intervals. When we attempt to study continuously for long periods, our attention span decreases, and we start forgetting what we've read. Short bursts of focused study followed by breaks keep the mind alert and increase overall productivity. Here's a practical example. Suppose you have 2 hours to study a chapter. Instead of reading it straight for 2 hours, divide it into 4 30-minute sessions with a 5-minute break after each session. During the 30 minutes, focus only on understanding and memorizing the material. During the 5-minute breaks, step away from your desk, stretch, or have a quick snack. This prevents mental fatigue and makes your study more effective. One of the advantages of this method is time awareness. By using a timer, you become more conscious of how you spend your study hours. This creates a sense of urgency and encourages better focus. It also helps you track progress. After completing a few sessions, you can clearly see how much of the syllabus you've covered. It is also important to plan what you will study in each session. Instead of randomly reading pages, assign each Pomodoro to a specific topic or subtopic. For example, if you have a chapter with 3 main sections, dedicate one 30-minute session to each section. This ensures structured learning and avoids the feeling of wasting time. Many students feel that studying continuously without breaks demonstrates dedication, but it often backfires. Continuous study increases stress and reduces efficiency. Short sessions, on the other hand, improve concentration, memory retention, and overall learning efficiency. Even your motivation improves because finishing each short session gives a sense of achievement. A small tip: during your short breaks, avoid activities that distract your mind completely, like scrolling social media for long periods. Instead, do something relaxing but brief: a short walk, stretching, or deep breathing exercises. After the break, return to study with a fresh mind. Finally, the Pomodoro technique is adaptable. If 25 to 30 minutes feels too short or too long for you, adjust the duration slightly. The key is consistency and focus, not rigid timing. By following this approach daily, students can cover more material effectively, even with limited time. Summary of Act 2. Break study into short, focused sessions, 25 to 30 minutes, followed by 5 to 10-minute breaks. This improves concentration, memory retention, and productivity. Use a timer and plan specific topics for each session. Avoid long distractions during breaks. Keep them short and refreshing. The method is flexible and can be adapted to personal preferences. One of the most effective ways to memorize a subject quickly is by writing down the key points of each chapter. When a student reads a chapter passively, it is easy to forget details. Writing forces your brain to actively process and organize information, which significantly improves memory retention. Start by reading a section of the chapter carefully, then summarize the most important points in your own words. Do not try to copy the entire text. Instead, focus on keywords, main ideas, formulas, definitions, and examples. For example, if a history chapter discusses multiple events, write down only the event names, dates, and key facts. Your brain remembers better when it extracts information actively rather than passively. Another powerful method is using color-coded notes or highlighters. Highlighting important sentences, formulas, or definitions in bright colors makes them stand out visually. For example, you can use yellow for definitions, blue for formulas, and pink for examples. This visual differentiation helps your mind quickly recognize and recall the information later. Writing key points also allows you to create a personalized summary at the end of each chapter. After finishing a section, take 10 to 15 minutes to jot down a brief overview in bullet points. Later, you can quickly revise only these summaries instead of rereading the whole chapter. This saves time and reinforces memory. Moreover, the act of writing engages multiple parts of the brain: visual, motor, and cognitive, which strengthens memory pathways. This is why students who take notes by hand often remember information better than those who just read or type it on a computer. Even writing simple diagrams, arrows, or flowcharts alongside key points can make memorization much faster and more effective. It is also helpful to organize notes logically. For instance, group related points together under subheadings. If a biology chapter discusses cell structure, write separate sections for nucleus, mitochondria, and cell membrane, along with their functions. This structured layout makes it easier for your brain to recall information systematically. For students with very limited time, creating mini notebooks or flashcards for key points is invaluable. One flashcard can have a question on one side and the key point answer on the other. For example, front, function of mitochondria. Back, produces energy ATP for the cell. Quickly reviewing these flashcards daily ensures that even small pockets of free time contribute to memorization. Finally, writing key points also improves confidence and motivation. Seeing a completed set of notes gives a visual representation of your progress and makes revision less daunting. Rather than staring at an entire chapter feeling overwhelmed, you can focus on the essential points that matter most. Summary of Act 3. Write key points in your own words instead of copying everything. Use color coding and highlighting to make important information stand out. Summarize each chapter in bullet points for quick revision. Engage multiple parts of the brain through writing and diagrams. Organize notes logically and use flashcards for quick daily reviews. Writing key points boosts confidence and reduces study stress. One of the most effective ways to memorize large amounts of information quickly is through visual learning, particularly by creating mind maps. A mind map is a diagram that organizes information visually, helping your brain see connections between different concepts. This method is especially useful for students who struggle with traditional linear reading or have limited time to study. To create a mind map, start with the central topic in the middle of the page. For example, if you are studying a biology chapter on the human digestive system, write that in the center. Then draw branches radiating from the central idea for each main subtopic, such as mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. From each branch, draw smaller subbranches for detailed points, like functions, enzymes, or important facts. This creates a visual hierarchy that your brain can easily follow. The advantage of mind maps is that they combine both words and visuals. Using colors, symbols, and small drawings can make memorization faster. For instance, you could draw a simple stomach shape to represent that part of the system or use arrows to indicate the flow of food. These visual cues help your brain recall information without needing to read long paragraphs. Mind maps also encourage active learning. Instead of just reading a chapter passively, you must think about how topics relate to each other and organize them logically. This active engagement strengthens your memory and understanding of the subject. For example, while creating a mind map for a history chapter, you may group events by cause and effect or by chronological order. This helps you understand not just the facts but the connections between them, making it easier to answer questions later. Another benefit is that mind maps make revision much faster. Instead of rereading an entire chapter, you can quickly glance at your mind map and recall all the main ideas and subpoints. They serve as visual summaries of large amounts of information. For students with limited time, this means they can cover more material in less time. For best results, mind maps should be personalized. Use your own words, colors, and drawings instead of copying someone else's notes. The process of creating the map itself is a learning exercise, and your brain will retain the information better because it is connected to your own thought process. Finally, mind maps can be combined with other techniques like flashcards or key point notes. For example, after creating a mind map, you can write key questions for each branch on a flashcard. This combination reinforces memory and makes it easier to recall information during exams. Summary of Act 4. Mind maps visually organize information, making it easier to memorize. Start with a central topic and branch out to main ideas and subpoints. Use colors, symbols, and small drawings for faster visual recall. Mind maps encourage active learning and logical connections. They save time during revision by serving as visual summaries. Personalize mind maps for better retention and combine with other techniques like flashcards. Another highly effective technique for memorization is reading aloud. Many students underestimate the power of using both their eyes and ears while studying. When you read silently, your brain only engages the visual processing centers. However, when you speak the words aloud, you involve both the auditory and motor parts of the brain, which strengthens memory and understanding. Reading aloud helps with active engagement. Instead of passively scanning the text, you are forcing your brain to process each word, sentence, and concept. This improves concentration and ensures that your mind does not wander, which often happens during silent reading. For example, reading a history paragraph about World War II aloud not only reinforces the facts but also makes the sequence of events clearer. This technique also works exceptionally well for language learning and definitions. When memorizing formulas, terms, or vocabulary, saying them aloud repeatedly helps your brain encode them into long-term memory. For instance, a biology student saying, "Mitochondria produces energy for the cell," multiple times aloud is more likely to remember it than silently reading it once. Another benefit of reading aloud is that it enhances pronunciation and fluency. If you are preparing for an oral exam or a presentation, this method is doubly useful. By hearing the information spoken, you reinforce your memory and also improve your ability to recall it accurately under pressure. For added effectiveness, you can record yourself reading and play it back during breaks or while commuting. This method combines auditory learning with repetition and ensures that your brain encounters the material multiple times in different ways. The more senses you engage, seeing, speaking, and hearing, the stronger the memory becomes. Reading aloud can also be paired with group study. Explaining concepts to a friend or study partner forces you to articulate ideas clearly. Teaching is one of the strongest forms of learning because it requires understanding the material thoroughly, not just memorizing it. Even reading to yourself in front of a mirror can create the same effect as your brain interprets it as teaching someone else. It is important, however, to maintain focus and clarity while reading aloud. Avoid rushing through the text. Speak slowly and clearly, pausing at important points to let your brain absorb the information. You can also highlight or underline keywords as you read to reinforce key ideas visually while listening. Finally, reading aloud is particularly effective when combined with short study sessions and mind maps. For example, after creating a mind map of a chapter, read the key points aloud multiple times. This reinforces both visual and auditory memory, making recall faster and more reliable during exams. Summary of Act 5. Reading aloud engages both auditory and visual parts of the brain. It increases concentration and reinforces memory of definitions, formulas, and concepts. Speaking aloud improves recall, pronunciation, and fluency. Recording yourself or teaching others enhances retention. Slow, focused reading with highlights or keywords strengthens memory further. Best combined with other techniques like mind maps and short sessions for maximum efficiency. One of the most powerful techniques for memorization is active recall. Unlike passive reading or highlighting, active recall forces your brain to retrieve information from memory. This method significantly strengthens long-term retention and ensures that what you learn stays with you far longer. Active recall works by converting your study material into questions and answers. After reading a section or chapter, close the book and ask yourself questions about what you just read. For example, if you have studied the parts of the digestive system, you could ask, what is the function of the small intestine? Or, which enzyme is responsible for breaking down proteins in the stomach? Try to answer these questions without looking at your notes. The key is to actively engage your brain in retrieving information rather than passively reviewing it. Even if you cannot answer a question immediately, the act of trying and then checking the correct answer reinforces your memory. Each attempt strengthens the neural pathways associated with that information, making recall faster and more reliable over time. Active recall can be applied using flashcards, practice tests, or self-made questions. Flashcards are particularly effective. One side contains a question and the other contains the answer. Go through these flashcards repeatedly, testing yourself until you can confidently answer each one without hesitation. This method is especially helpful for definitions, formulas, and important facts. Another variation is the closed book technique. After studying a chapter, write down everything you remember from memory without looking at your notes. Then compare your version with your actual notes to identify gaps. This exercise highlights what you know well and what needs more practice. Over time, your ability to recall the material accurately improves significantly. Active recall is even more effective when combined with spaced repetition. For instance, after creating a set of questions today, review them tomorrow, then 2 days later, then a week later. This repeated retrieval strengthens long-term memory and ensures that you retain the information well before an exam. The psychological advantage of active recall is also worth noting. Unlike passive study methods, it keeps your mind engaged and motivated. Seeing improvement in your recall ability boosts confidence and reduces the anxiety associated with last-minute cramming. It transforms studying from a passive, stressful activity into an interactive, rewarding process. Finally, active recall is highly flexible and can be applied to almost any subject. Whether it is history, science, or language, formulating questions and answering them actively enhances understanding and memorization. Combined with other techniques like mind maps, reading aloud, and short study sessions, active recall creates a holistic, efficient, and time-saving study system. Summary of Act 6. Active recall forces your brain to retrieve information, strengthening memory. Convert study material into questions and answer them without looking. Use flashcards, self-made questions, or closed book exercises. Combine with spaced repetition for long-term retention. Improves confidence and reduces study-related stress. Works for any subject and is best used with other techniques like mind maps and short sessions. Memorizing a large amount of material in a short time can be overwhelming if you try to cram it all at once. This is where spaced repetition comes in, a scientifically proven technique that improves long-term memory by reviewing information at increasing intervals over time. The principle behind spaced repetition is simple. The human brain forgets information quickly if it is not reinforced. Instead of repeatedly studying the same material in one session, you review it multiple times with breaks in between, allowing your memory to consolidate the knowledge. For example, after learning a new topic today, you might review it tomorrow, then 2 days later, then a week later. Each review strengthens your recall and reduces the chances of forgetting. Spaced repetition can be applied in several ways. One popular method is using flashcards. Write questions on one side and answers on the other. Review them in intervals. First immediately after studying, then after a day, then after several days. Digital apps like Anki or Quizlet are excellent tools because they automatically schedule reviews based on how well you remember each card. Cards you struggle with appear more frequently while easier ones appear less often. Another method is revisiting your notes or mind maps at spaced intervals. After creating a mind map for a chapter, review it later in the day, the next day, and then a few days later. This repeated exposure, combined with active recall, ensures that your brain solidifies the connections between ideas. The benefits of spaced repetition are profound. First, it prevents the forgetting curve, a natural process where the brain loses information quickly if not reinforced. Second, it reduces the need for last-minute cramming. By reviewing material at intervals, you gradually build a stronger memory without overwhelming your brain. Third, spaced repetition improves efficiency because it allows you to focus more on areas you find difficult while spending less time on topics you already know. To implement spaced repetition effectively, start with a schedule. For example, Day 1. Study the topic thoroughly. Day 2. Review key points and flashcards. Day 4. Test yourself on the same topic. Day 7. Conduct a second review. Day 14. Final review before the exam. This method is flexible and can be adjusted based on the time you have and the difficulty of the topic. Even short, repeated reviews are better than one long session because your brain retains information more efficiently when it is spaced out. Finally, spaced repetition works best when combined with other techniques like active recall, mind maps, reading aloud, and writing key points. Together, these methods create a comprehensive system that maximizes retention while minimizing study time. Students who use spaced repetition consistently often find that they can memorize more in less time and retain it longer than those who rely solely on last-minute cramming. Summary of Act 7. Spaced repetition reviews material at increasing intervals to improve long-term memory, prevents the forgetting curve, and reduces the need for cramming. Use flashcards, mind maps, or notes for repeated reviews. Focus more on difficult areas and less on familiar ones for efficiency. Follow a schedule for systematic review, e.g., Day 1, 2, 4, 7, 14. Best combined with active recall and other study techniques for maximum results. When time is limited and the syllabus is vast, one of the most efficient ways to memorize information is by using flashcards and keywords. This method leverages the power of active recall while simplifying large chunks of material into bite-sized, easily reviewable pieces. Flashcards are simple yet highly effective. On one side, you write a question or keyword, and on the other side, the answer or explanation. For example, if you are studying biology, front, function of mitochondria, back, produces energy ATP for the cell. By testing yourself repeatedly with flashcards, your brain strengthens the memory pathways and improves long-term recall. The advantage of flashcards is that they allow for quick, repeated reviews, even if you have only a few minutes between classes, during commutes, or before sleep. Keywords are another important tool. Instead of memorizing long paragraphs, focus on the essential words and phrases that capture the core concept. For instance, in history, instead of memorizing an entire paragraph about a battle, you remember keywords like date, location, leader, outcome. These keywords act as triggers that help you recall the entire story. Flashcards and keywords can also be combined. For example, write the keyword on the front of the flashcard and a short explanation or key points on the back. This makes review faster and allows your brain to connect minimal cues with full information. Another benefit of flashcards is that they support spaced repetition. Cards you answer correctly appear less frequently, while cards you struggle with appear more often. This ensures efficient use of study time, as you focus more on areas that need improvement. Physical flashcards are effective, but digital apps like Anki or Quizlet add convenience and automatic scheduling for repeated review. Flashcards also enhance visual memory. You can color code them, use symbols, or even draw small diagrams to make the information more memorable. For example, in chemistry, drawing the molecular structure on the back of the flashcard reinforces the visual aspect alongside the textual definition. Keywords additionally help in exam situations. Often, seeing or hearing a single word triggers the entire explanation in your mind. This not only speeds up recall but also reduces stress, as your brain has a ready set of cues to retrieve information. For best results, break your syllabus into topics and create flashcards for each. Use clear and concise keywords that summarize main ideas. Review daily for short periods to strengthen memory. Combine with other techniques like active recall, mind maps, and spaced repetition. Finally, flashcards and keywords are particularly useful for last-minute revision. Instead of rereading entire chapters, you can go through your cards quickly and reinforce your memory of the most important points. This makes studying efficient, less stressful, and highly productive. Summary of Act 8. Flashcards provide a quick active recall method for memorization. Use keywords to summarize and trigger full recall of concepts. Combine flashcards with keywords for maximum efficiency. Support spaced repetition to focus on weaker areas. Add colors, symbols, or diagrams to enhance memory. Ideal for short daily reviews and last-minute revision. Creating and following a daily study routine is one of the most powerful ways to build discipline, reduce stress, and ensure consistent progress. A good routine transforms studying from a struggle into a natural part of your day, helping you stay organized and confident before exams. The first step is planning your day. Start by identifying your most productive hours. Some people concentrate better early in the morning, while others focus more at night. Schedule your most difficult subjects during those hours. Divide your day into manageable study blocks, such as 45 to 60 minutes of study followed by a 10-15-minute break. These breaks help your brain rest and absorb information effectively. A balanced daily routine should include 3 main parts. Study sessions. Focused learning time for reading, writing, and solving exercises. Revision blocks. Short review periods for recalling what you studied earlier. Rest and self-care. Proper sleep, meals, and relaxation for mental energy. Morning hours are ideal for new learning because your mind is fresh. During this time, focus on challenging topics that require deep concentration. Afternoon hours can be used for practice, such as solving questions, making flashcards, or writing summaries. In the evening, dedicate 30 to 45 minutes to revision, reviewing what you learned throughout the day using spaced repetition or active recall. Consistency is the secret to success. Even if you study for fewer hours, doing it regularly every day is far more effective than studying the whole night before an exam. For example, studying 2 focused hours daily for a week is more beneficial than studying 14 hours in one day. Another key part of an effective routine is practice. Knowledge alone is not enough. You must apply it. For subjects like mathematics, practice solving different types of problems daily. In languages, write short essays or practice vocabulary. In science, attempt objective questions and diagrams. Regular practice strengthens understanding, builds confidence, and reduces exam anxiety. Don't forget to include short tests in your schedule. Test yourself weekly using past papers or self-made quizzes. This not only checks your progress but also trains your brain to recall under pressure, preparing you mentally for real exam conditions. Equally important is taking care of your body and mind. Avoid long, unhealthy study hours without rest. Sleep at least 7 to 8 hours daily. Your brain processes and stores memories during sleep. Eat healthy food and drink enough water to stay alert. A short walk, some stretching or meditation between study sessions can boost focus and reduce fatigue. Finally, review your routine every few days. Something isn't working, like studying late at night making you tired. Adjust it. A good routine is flexible and fits your energy levels, not just your clock. Summary of Act 10. Build a structured daily routine with study, revision, and rest. Study difficult topics during your most productive hours. Use 45 to 60-minute study blocks with 10 to 15-minute breaks. Practice regularly. Apply what you learn through exercises and tests. Maintain health with proper sleep, food, and relaxation. Be consistent and review your routine regularly for improvement. Studying alone is not enough. True mastery comes from reviewing and testing yourself regularly. This act focuses on how to check your understanding, identify weak areas, and strengthen memory through consistent self-assessment. When you review, you are giving your brain a second chance to organize and reinforce what you learned earlier. Without review, information fades quickly from short-term memory. But with regular review sessions, knowledge moves into long-term memory, where it stays accessible during exams. A good review doesn't mean rereading everything word for word. Instead, it means actively recalling what you remember. For example, close your book and try to explain a topic out loud or write down the main points from memory. Then check what you missed. This process trains your brain to retrieve information quickly, just like it will need to do during a test. The second key element is testing yourself. Self-testing is one of the most effective study methods because it mimics real exam conditions. It helps you discover what you truly know versus what you only think you know. For instance, after studying a chapter, write down 10 possible questions and try to answer them without looking at your notes. Or use past papers to test your knowledge under timed conditions. Testing yourself has several benefits. It reveals weak areas so you can focus your next study session more effectively. It reduces exam anxiety by familiarizing you with question formats and time pressure. It improves recall speed, which is crucial during real exams. A practical strategy is the 3-step review cycle. Step 1. Immediate review. Review your notes right after class or after finishing a topic. Step 2. Short-term review. Review again within 24 hours to reinforce learning. Step 3. Long-term review. Revisit the same material weekly and monthly to store it permanently. This cycle works best when combined with spaced repetition. Each review strengthens your memory and shortens the time needed to recall the information later. You can also make review sessions engaging by using different formats: mind maps, summary charts, or quizzes. For example, turn your flashcards into a game where you score points for correct answers. This keeps your motivation high and makes studying enjoyable. While testing yourself, pay attention to mistakes. Don't be afraid of getting answers wrong. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. Analyze why you got something wrong and correct it immediately. Writing a short note about your error and the right answer helps prevent repeating it. Lastly, simulate real exam conditions once a week. Sit in a quiet room, set a timer, and answer a set of questions from memory. This habit strengthens confidence and improves your ability to stay calm under pressure. Summary of Act 11. Review regularly to transfer information from short-term to long-term memory. Use active recall. Test yourself instead of just rereading. Apply the 3-step review cycle: immediate, short-term, and long-term reviews. Use past papers, self-made quizzes, and mock tests for practice. Learn from mistakes. Correct and record them for future reference. Simulate exam conditions to build confidence and control exam stress. After weeks of studying, revising, and practicing, the final step is preparing your mind and body for exam day. This last act focuses on how to make the best use of your final days before the exam and how to enter the exam hall with calmness, focus, and confidence. The last few days before an exam are not for learning new material. They are for reviewing what you already know. Cramming new information at the last minute often leads to confusion and stress. Instead, spend this time revising summaries, key points, flashcards, and important formulas or definitions. A smart approach is to make a final revision plan for the last 3 to 5 days. Day 1 to 2. Review high-priority chapters and key questions. Day 3. Go through medium-priority topics and difficult areas. Day 4. Focus on quick summaries, charts, and mind maps. Day 5. Before exam, relax, lightly review key points, and sleep early. During final preparation, use active recall instead of passive reading. Test yourself mentally. Try to explain answers out loud or write short notes from memory. Reviewing like this strengthens confidence and ensures that your brain retrieves information efficiently during the exam. Equally important is your mental and physical health. Many students underestimate the power of rest. Without enough sleep, your brain cannot process or recall information properly. Sleep at least 7 to 8 hours before the exam, and avoid heavy meals or too much caffeine. Stay hydrated and take short walks to refresh your mind. The exam mindset is as important as preparation itself. Anxiety and negative thinking can block your memory even if you know everything. Replace nervous thoughts with calm affirmations like, "I have prepared well, I can do this." Visualize yourself sitting in the exam room, reading the questions and answering them confidently. On the day of the exam, arrive early to avoid last-minute panic. Bring all necessary materials: pens, ID card, water bottle, and anything else required. Avoid discussing difficult topics with classmates right before the paper. It can confuse or stress you unnecessarily. Once the exam starts, take a deep breath and read all instructions carefully. Begin with the questions you know best. This builds momentum and confidence. Manage your time wisely. If a question seems difficult, move on and return to it later. Always leave the last few minutes for reviewing your answers. Remember, the goal is not perfection but clarity and focus. Stay calm, write neatly, and structure your answers logically. Even partial answers with clear understanding can earn marks. After the exam, avoid overthinking or comparing answers with others. Use that energy to rest and prepare for your next paper. Every exam is a new opportunity, not a reflection of your worth. Summary of Act 12. Focus on review, not new study in the final days. Follow a short, structured revision plan. Last 3 to 5 days. Prioritize sleep, hydration, and mental calmness. Use positive affirmations and visualization to reduce anxiety. Arrive early, stay organized, and manage exam time wisely. Start with easy questions to build confidence. Stay calm, avoid post-exam stress, and prepare positively for the next one.